Okay. Okay, welcome everyone. Whoops. Adjust the camera. So welcome everyone to the Visible Voices Festival, the Authors Showcase. My name is Greg Newton, and I am the co-founder of the Bureau of General Services Queer Division, which is the space you are in right now. And the Bureau is a project that my partner Donnie Jochum and I founded back in 2012, and that has been here at the LGBT Community Center since 2014. And the Bureau is an all-volunteer independent queer bookstore. We have regular hours Wednesdays through Sundays from 1 to 7 p.m. And then we often stay open later when we have events such as this. And if you're not already on our email list, you can sign up for that at the back of the room or on our website, which is bgsqd.com. And you'll sign up for the newsletter and you'll get an email every other Monday about our many upcoming events. Many are book related, but many are anything under the queer cultural umbrella is something that we host here. Before we get started, I wanted to read a land acknowledgement. And let me find that, sorry. So the Bureau acknowledges that our organization operates on the unceded land of the Munsee Lenape. We encourage you to join the Bureau in signing up to make a monthly donation to the American Indian Community Houses Mannahatta Fund. The Mannahatta Fund, according to its website, is an invitation to all settlers and non-native people who wish to acknowledge the legacy of theft and genocide that comprise the history of New York City and the United States. And you can find out more at mannahattafund.org. The Bureau also recognizes Palestinian liberation as a fundamental part of our collective queer liberation. And we encourage you to take one of our free little zines about why we feel it's important, especially for queer people, to speak out in solidarity with Palestinians. So please grab one of those zines before you leave tonight. And with that, let's get started. I'm going to hand the mic over to Raquel, who's going to be our moderator for tonight. Please give her a warm welcome.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that y'all could be here today, and I'm so honored to be a part of this amazing panel with these great authors. And so I want to take a moment. Whenever I go in spaces that I'm unfamiliar with or anything, I like to invite our ancestors in, but also take a moment of silence for the ones that we are mourning, grieving, or left early, okay? So we'll just take a 2-second silence to honor those lives that's passed. Thank y'all for being a part of that. I think that's important because as we live, we will be a legacy, and so that's so important. Let's get into it. I am honored to start introducing these folks, learn more about y'all work, and if y'all don't know a little bit about me, my name is Raquel Trammell, also known as Miss Mouthy, the Lips of Detroit. I have a podcast that centers the voice and narratives of trans and non-binary folks and the allies that love and support us. We stream on all platforms, but I also have a second podcast called The Mouthies with my partner, Mr. Mouthy, where we talk about Black trans love and what that looks like in all regards. So I'd like to introduce the different authors here today, and then we'll start to have these dialogues about what made them creative in their process of making their books or their magazine. And then we'll open it up to the audience and things, and then we'll get ready to party. How y'all feel about that? All right, because I like to talk, I want to be talked back. All right, so first we're going to start with D. James. D. James is a visionary author and community advocate who works, poses, purpose, resilience, and love. And in the Black Book of Life, the blueprint to unity, empowerment, and unstoppable spirit of Black and brown communities, James offers more than just a book. It's a movement. And with a voice rooted in love and experience, the heart of commitment, to collective healing, James crafts transformative guides to uplift, affirm, and give purpose to all people. Each page calls to action for generational wounds and the celebration of beauty and brilliance within the Black and Brown community. Through the work, D. James invite readers to reclaim their narratives, build bridges to solidarity, and rise with intention. Give it up for D. James. We got it. And I'd just like to take a moment so y'all can get some visuals, okay? Please support. There'll be an opportunity to get a book signing at the end of it. All right. Next, we have the incomparable, okay, my brother, Seven King. Seven King is a visionary storyteller, humanitarian, film director, who is unyielding in the passion and amplifying voices and often go unheard. Born and raised in the vibrant streets, of the Bronx, he draws from inspiration to his roots, wavering power, narratives, and the challenges of social, I need glasses, sorry y'all. So the norms that spark conversations of unique lenses and fearless approach. Seven crafts stories of these resilient, deeply blended blended art and activism. His work is not only entertaining, but it challenges people and I'm sorry about this. Let me give you a real bio. So Seven King, I met him in Arkansas, right? And so his work alone to invite me here to do this, to not only be a part of this event, but the way that he uplifts our stories and our narratives in his work have made monumental impact. The way that you've brought people together to really share your story and give us those insights on how to be creative, how to be visible, how to stand up with no fear has been immaculate. Not only has he been able to be an author, but he has created the series that's now on Tubi, Eden Garden. It's been my pleasure to work with you on this podcast with all your actors. I thank you for that. And this is Seven King, y'all. I'm gonna try this shit again. All right. All right. Let me go to the first lady. All right. Miss Jasmine McKenzie. You have created a magazine called BWBT, Reason Why Black and Trans. That's a hell of a title. It's more than a magazine. It is a movement in print, created and cultivated by Black trans women. BWBT is a bold, unapologetic platform dedicated to celebrating the brilliance, resilience, and the boundless creativity of Black trans organizations, businesses, support spaces, and visionary programs. Each page is a testament to the power of Black trans lives, love, and leadership, rooted in liberation and driven by the commitment to the intersections of awareness. BWBT uplifts our stories, honors our existence, and amplifies transformative work happening in our communities every day. This is where trans excellence is not only seen, but centered. Jasmine McKenzie. All right. Armand Day, how are you? I'ma not fuck this up, okay? So we have the founder, designer of Armand Day LLC. Armani, sorry, I already fucked it up, forgive me. All right, so you have a creative word called artivist. I love that. That speaks life to a lot of the purpose here in this room today, being an activist out on the front line and doing and creating art. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the award-winning designer, photographer, and entrepreneur currently is working between LA, California, New York, come to Detroit, okay. His work is informed by his way of life experience, including his identity as a transmasculine individual. Armani prides himself in creating art, the events that spark conversation and lead to growth and collective healing. His ultimate mission is to pour representation and positive energy into our community. With predominantly known as a photographer, his artworks includes paintings, textiles, films, written material, and cultivated events, art directing, and more. All projects are intended to shed light to bringing awareness to self-love, equality, body positivity, trans right, awareness, and non-conformatives. The importance of unity within our community. Traveling through the United States and Canada, Armani has volunteered and partnered with a lot of the LGBTQ businesses and organizations within his community. Oftentimes, it's so important that art achieving through this creative process, it invokes social changes. And through Armani's fulfilled creating, he is aware that his purposeful in his education and exposing the majority to marginalized identities. The intersectionality of his work has been featured and showcased on TV, album covers, websites, and in the newspapers and magazines. One place, one creation, one helping hand, and one smile at a time. Armani Day. All right, and last but not least, I had the pleasure of meeting you briefly. I'm so thankful and honored to share space with you. This is Greg Green, the author for diversion. He does diversion and inclusion facilitations, community health worker, and a community advocate. He used his years of experience as a police officer and firefighter to facilitate the humanized experience and access to public resources, and shifting the corporate culture of his community. As an advocate, as a corporate trainer, as an entrepreneur, he currently serves as a board chair for a Transgender Awareness Alliance, a CEO, a LLC. He sits on the board of an African American Association alumni, as an alumni, and in 2024, at the James Colburn and Victory and Power Fellowship. This is Greg Green. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, let's start with opening it up. I think it's really important when the creative process is happening as a creator to go back to where it all began. So I would like each one of y'all to talk about that pivotal moment when you realized you had planted a seed within yourself and you had to bring it to fruition. Okay? Who would like to go first? Ladies first. Yes, when was that pivotal moment, Jazz, when you knew you wanted to create a magazine?
The pivotal moment happened 4 years ago when we did our first inaugural Reason Why Black and Trans fashion show down in Miami, and I kept talking about how we don't have nothing where Black trans businesses, Black trans organizations have a space where we can just say, here's a guide, here's a resource guide, and we can just give it out to our community. And we have a place called Wilton Manor, so they have their little hotspot magazines and all that stuff, but it's the white organizations, it's the white trans organizations, it's the white trans men, it's the white trans women, it's the showgirls, it's the white, it's nothing black. And I said I want to create my own thing, and that's when I came up with Reason Why Black and Trans. And the first volume, it was basically just, all of the models who participated in the fashion show that year, where we did, the whole topic was about gender justice and protection. So all the models did a certain type of look of a photo shoot, and they had different demands written all over their bodies. And we showcased that, and we started showcasing, I first started to highlight Black trans women in the state of Florida. Then I started highlighting the different businesses. And as that grew and grew and people started reaching out to me, now, here we go, 4 years later, we're only on the second volume. This is the second one. And in this one, I was able to put in like different funders that fund trans organizations. I was able to put different medical providers who are working with trans people and saying, fuck these systems, we don't do what we need to do. And also highlight other organizations and other businesses that are oftentimes don't get the highlight, most organizations. So that's how I end up coming up with the Bridgewater Black and Trans. I had many people say they're gonna pour into it, they're gonna give us money to make it happen. And guess what? To this day, nobody poured out a damn dollar into it. And I said I'm gonna keep going, even if it takes me another 2 years to do volume 3. I ain't gonna stop. I'm gonna keep on going. And everything in the book is designed by me. All the language in there is by me. The proofreading over 25 times by me.
Yeah.
So the whole book is by me, a Black trans woman. And I would like to see other people, follow their blueprint in other states to create more magazines like this to highlight the joy and liberation of what Black transes look like, and how we also have power if we, put things like this in place to showcase it. Because a lot of times people say, well, I didn't know it was an organization for this, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. A lot of times people don't want to read. You can get them an email, they still ain't gonna goddamn read. You can get them a book, they probably gonna read, they gonna probably open the magazine and ain't probably gonna read nothing in there. But they might just look at the pictures. But that's okay. They take a look at it. So that's just my story about it. You wanna get to pick the next person?
Yeah.
Since I'm the first lady, here you go.
Thank you. So my inspiration came actually from my chosen grandfather, and when I was growing up, his youngest son passed away, and I didn't realize until later, get older and understand certain things, that he died from complications of HIV, and no one really wanted to talk about it. That side of the family owns a funeral home, so that wasn't a good thing for business to talk about. And it was the 80s, so they didn't, just didn't talk about it. And I have always been out. Even prior to my transition, when I identified as a stud, as a lesbian, I've always been out just as far back as I can remember. And so I was sitting at my grandfather's house one day, and he's just standing there, and he says, you ought to write a book. And I was like, okay, I didn't think much of it. And he was like, well, if you don't want to tell your story, I will, because you've got a hell of a story, you should tell your story. And I didn't think much of it. Fast forward some time, passed, he passed away. But when I got the phone call about him passing away, that very same day, someone that I work with in the community called me and said, hey, we're thinking about revitalizing our health magazine. Would you be interested in writing in it? I didn't see myself writing in a magazine, but the moment that was said on that same day, I heard the message I was supposed to hear, which was write that book. And so that is actually who I dedicated the book to as well, because in the title, he said to me, you know why they don't like you. And I didn't know where he was going with it. This is when I was letting him know about my transition. He said, well, you know why they don't like you. And I said, no, why is that? I was nervous. And he said, because you have the audacity to be yourself, and the rest of them don't know who the hell they want to be. And you're being you. And that just threw me. So he motivated me to go ahead and get it on paper right now. So.
So my inspiration is actually a two-part. Growing up and even now and well into my adulthood, people see me as a mysterious person. People get very curious when they see me, the way I dress, how I talk, and just the way that I carry myself. So being in this world, I wanted to capture the beauty that I see in the world. My own version of beauty and the things that I thought that were beautiful and mysterious and all the things that mirror myself. So in 2009, I just picked up a camera and I just started taking pictures. And then before you knew it, people started, oh, can you take a picture of me? Can you do my wedding? And it just grew from there. And then fast forward, I grew well into my transition, and I didn't see, when you would Google, when you would look in books, you wouldn't see a lot of Black trans bodies, specifically Black trans AFAB people assigned female at birth. You wouldn't see a lot of us, and the representation wasn't there. And so I'm like, well, how come no one created this? Okay, I'll do it. And so I traveled around to different states, and I went to Canada. I also put on like a questionnaire online, and I created my first book, which is what you see here, Exposed Truth. It's a black and white photography book that celebrates the bodies of transgender, non-conforming, non-binary, two-spirit, and alike people, to celebrate the beautiful variations of our bodies, because we're all beautiful, regardless of shape, size, color, hormones or not, we're all beautiful. And so my inspiration, it definitely came from that, and it also boosts my confidence and my self-esteem as well as other people's. And also with that, this images from this book are now featured in an international resource guide, Trans Body, Trans Selves, and some of these images are also featured in a Texas University's curriculum, their gender and sexuality studies. And so I hope that it continues to inspire other people. Thank you.
So basically, my inspiration was like just growing up, as a little kid in Africa. It's like we grew up like very, very poor. So and when I got to the United States, I started looking at things, how things are going around the world, how black communities being oppressed. I just felt like I have to do something about it on my own part. So with that, I just like started thinking of what to do and what I can do to make a difference. So that is how I came up with the idea of inspired me to write a book about like a roadmap that what black community, what we need to be able to uplift us and make a better life for each and every one of us. That's about it.
Thank you everybody for coming. My name is Seven King. I recently produced and created the fictional novel called Eden's Secret. I actually wrote this book in 2018, but I self-published it and never put it on Amazon. So I wanted to, since I came to the finish line of the Eden's Garden web series and was ready to move forward in the production from that, I wanted to leave a book. Just to get out any thoughts or personal thoughts I wanted to get out as I move forward. And it had nothing to do with me having to depend on the actor to do a script. So I like to write, and I wanted to write this book as just another attachment, graduation to the brand of the Eden's Garden series. You could check out some of our early episodes when we were way younger on YouTube at Eden's Garden TV. Or you could check out the final installment, which is just 2 pilot episodes, but due to Tubi's qualifications, I had to merge it together. So it's 2 pilot episodes together on Tubi. The way you find it is looking at Eden's Garden, The Jungle Has No Secret. And I named it The Jungle Has No Secret due to New York being known as the concrete jungle. I'm so happy that I recreated this at a later age, because a lot of my perspectives change, a lot of my thought process change, and it's just you change. So just the way I delivered the literature is different, so I'm glad to have recreated it. I learned a lot about the book process, from book formatting to page formatting to having to get an editor to look over it, so I was way more seasoned as an older age and really going at it authentically. You can find a book on Amazon, but for some reason to find a book, you have to also write Malachi 7 King, Eden's Secret, Malachi 7 King. And my inspiration was just because of my passion with writing.
Thank you so much for that. So, my next question for y'all is, how does your book or magazine reflect the challenges that you personally identify with, your beliefs, or your experiences? Who would like to take a crack at it first? All right.
So pretty much what I've already said. I didn't see a great representation of Black trans people of color more specifically. When you would look on Google, when you would look in the magazines, and just doing the research to find out, like, oh well, what does my body look like on hormones, or what does my body look like, before and after surgery? There was not a lot of really good representation, and so I took it upon myself as a photographer, as a creative person, to photograph all of these beautiful people who identify as trans, gender non-conforming, non-binary, two-spirit, and like others, to amplify our voices, but our beauty, our bodies, the variations of us, because we're all different, but we're all beautiful. And so, yeah, I use my art, my photography to do that. And it's definitely been life-changing for myself and also other people. My confidence, it really boosted after publishing the book and seeing people's reaction to, like, they had never seen anything like it before, as if we don't exist, as if we've never been here. But it was more I think people were more surprised to see the variations of people of color, that it wasn't just people who were a single size. There were plus size people. There were people who had surgeries, people who didn't, and people who weren't just from America, but also in Canada. And so to just see the beautiful variations, it has been life-changing for me, but it also has helped a lot of other people. And I want to also let you know that when I first created this book, a friend of mine reached out to me and told me, he identifies as a Black trans man. He reached out to me and told me that from him seeing my book, it stopped him from hating himself and from wanting to commit suicide. And it just really did something for me, because I've dealt with that. So, yeah.
So, how is your magazine a part of your beliefs, or your beliefs, identity, or your experiences? How did you relate that into it? And I know you touched on it before.
I'm gonna talk about my experience. Currently in the political climate, we're dealing with a lot of stuff. We're having these issues with access to care, access to resources, access to everything that we need for Black trans people to thrive and survive. So this magazine is giving you just that. It is giving you the resources and things that you need, that this white man telling us that we can't do and that we ain't gonna get. You wanna know how you get your name changed? You got an organization that talk about name change. You wanna talk about how you get connected to HRT? You have an organization that's willing to travel you all around the whole US to make sure that you get these HRT services. Everything that this man is trying to erase from us is in this book. Let him know that bitch, you ain't erasing nothing.
Period.
You gonna talk your shit, but guess what? We ain't going no motherfucking well. Not today or tomorrow or nowhere else. So that is my experience of as why I created this version. Because right before this version, when I was starting Volume 2, I think Camille could tell y'all I had done dated magazine, it was all fucked up. It was all messed up. Everything was like, the pages was wrong. I was like, damn, I got to do it all over again. And that was $600 I had on spot on a whole book of copies that was just gone. Just gone waste. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna take it a different route. And that's when I just, came up with this whole idea of, making my experience as an executive director, hearing the community cry, hearing the needs and the wants. This book is giving you the needs and the wants to make sure that Black trans people are able to survive. So yeah.
Thank you.
So I speak about the intersecting identities that we all have, right? Like no one wears one hat. So I actually speak to my transition affecting different parts of my life. So I speak about losing my job, because I did get fired. And not just a job, that was my career. I wanted to be a police officer. I'm glad. But at the time, I just knew that's what I wanted to do. Like, you couldn't tell me otherwise. I wanted to do that. And I had spent 5 years on the force as a police officer and a firefighter, and they were just like, we don't know what to call you, so yeah, that's it. I mean, no warning or anything. And I didn't have like a different plan. I didn't have like, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna do something else, because why wouldn't it work? So that I talk about that. My my experience with my fraternal organization and the closeness of friends that I thought I had, but then transitioning I didn't have. And I speak about family dynamics, my experience in becoming a father, right? A child that chose me, and I haven't in return chosen that child. So I speak about all those different things. I don't go in a lot of deep, testosterone made me do this or all these different things, and this is what happened with me after surgery, because there's a lot of folks that that's what they're like, oh, I can't wait to see because I want to know all of that stuff. But it's about when things happen in life, and how do you pivot? What do you do different? And so the folks that wanted to support me, who do not identify as trans, do not identify as LGBTQ at all, I needed them to see me as a human. I needed them to see like, hey, look, something happened. You ever been fired before? Yeah, I got fired too, but I ain't messed up, So it's like going through those different lived experiences and helping to humanize me as a person and see the different things I've experienced, and still know that, yes, I'm trans, but that's not what's highlighted. These are the parts and pieces of my life that was affected after my transition, and I had to figure out, how do I pick up the pieces, how do I keep going and continue to be me. So that's my putting my experience into the book.
So basically, my experience is just something like the challenges we all face in life, all the obstacles, what we need to do to make a difference. I think that is the basic thing that actually got me to relate me with you with the book. Yeah, so I think it's good.
Oh, yes. How does your book reflect or challenge your personal identity, belief, or experience?
My book reflects a lot of sometimes subconscious type of things. I could be private to a certain extent. So some of it I experienced, some of it I'd never experienced, and it's just up for the reader to try to figure it out. But it's a way for me just to let loose. And I notice when you do create, sometimes things you actually went through, it wind up coming out even if you're trying to hold it back. So I think that, and my reflection on identity and being able to express it from a young age to evolving into a different chapter, to an older chapter, but even able to see everybody's point of view, from somebody that may not be supportive to your first love, to puppy love, and things of that nature. So for me, my book, Eden's Secret, I'm very proud of it. If you look at the book cover, you'll see the symbol that means female, and also on the blue, you'll see the symbol that means male. If you really look closely, the blue side has facial chin hair and the red side doesn't. So everything is intentional. If you look in the background, it has New York and everything. And on the back, if you read the book, you'll see a guy and a girl. And this book is very reflective for me, and I'm proud of it. And I was always inspired by reading novels in high school, like Sister Soldier. I remember some of my classmates was passing Zane around. That was deep. At an early age, they got into it. But urban fiction books growing up was a thing. So I was just inspired to do my own thing connected to this subject.
Thank y'all so much for sharing that. So next, I would like y'all to describe a moment in the process where creating was challenging for you, right? Whether that was writing or capturing one picture that became difficult for whatever reason to share with people or be vulnerable. What was that moment? And you can either reference the book in and of itself, the photo in and of itself, or just go back to that moment and elaborate on it. Yeah, so a moment where you were writing, so say you were creating, what was the most challenging thing you had to write within your book, and why was that moment challenging for you? And that could also be a photo that was one that you took on set or something you created with the magazine. Okay.
Can Kayla stand up, please? Kayla Hill, can you stand up, please?
Hey, girl.
So, when I first started this book, the hardest part of this book was creating, the actual cover page of the magazine. Because we have did so many photo shoots, so many beautiful pictures, so many of the pictures, they just wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
I tried over 100 or something pictures, they just would not fit to give me the look that I was going for the cover of the magazine. And I was so upset about it. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a black page and this is just gonna say BWT and that's it. I'm gonna be done. I ain't gonna put no more effort into this. And then as I was just scrolling, maybe probably I think a few weeks later, I came across some pictures that Kayla, who was on the cover, Kayla, Zane, and Lamoya. And I was like, oh, I ain't never do nothing with these pictures. I'm like, we did these last year for last Bring My Black Dreams. And as soon as I put it in there, it was like, bam. It was like, bam. And guess what? It was 2 days before I had to submit it to the print. So I was stressing, I was going crazy, I was pissed off, I was cussing at the computer, cussing at Canva, just going off. I'm like, Canva can't do nothing to me. Canva can't fix the goddamn situation. But that was a very difficult moment for me, and I just want to say, this is Kayla on the cover, y'all. That's Kayla right there. Kayla is the baby of the bunch. Kayla is 16 years old. She has been with the Mackenzie Project since she's been 14 with a very loving black parent, household mother and father that supports her. So yeah, that's that.
All right.
Okay, am I cooking again? I had you last time, go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Let's find this picture again. All right, so in my photography book, Exposed Truth, there is an image. I'm going to describe the image and then I'll show it to you. You can get a closer look later if you like. So there's an image of a black trans guy it's his full backside and he is holding up a weight. So it has it's a dumbbell with the weights. So the reason why I titled this is called Booty Power because there's a power in your booty. But it was quite difficult to get him to pose for this because when you typically, from the many people that I've talked to and also myself, when you are an AFAB person, assigned female at birth, society can sometimes make you feel like having hips is too girly, too feminine. Having a big butt is too girly, too feminine. It shouldn't exist that way. Having curves and all the things that make you the beautiful person that you are. It was really difficult. I mean, we both were sweating trying to get this one image. And I snapped the camera twice and it was perfect. So I'm going to show you the image now, and the image is titled Booty Power so that y'all can see. His body is beautiful. His body is, it's beautiful, right? But it was quite difficult. Did you get it? It was quite difficult to capture this image because first, I had to coach myself of being a thicker body person, having hips, which you might see when I stand up, having hips, having curves, but identifying as a trans man, and again, society making you believe that those things make you less of a man, less of a masculine person. And so I have to first coach myself through it to be able to coach the model like, hey, I'm here to celebrate the beauty of your body, to let you know, to help you amplify what you see in the mirror, that you are beautiful. You are the man that you say that you are a masculine man, and this just is another beautiful part of your body. I know that it can be difficult to see, but if we shut out the voices that we typically hear from society, and maybe, past lovers, family, whoever it may be, and just only hear your voice and tell yourself, I am beautiful as I am. And I was literally doing all of that during this photo shoot. And so it was quite difficult, but we got through it together. And as I mentioned before, this book not only boosts my confidence and helping my self-esteem in the process, but also other people. And so it was very challenging, but rewarding. and just want to remind everybody that we're all beautiful. So.
So when you're writing a story about your life and the things that have happened in your life and the people that have done things to you in your life that may still be in your life, like a parent, that was very difficult because I didn't want to not tell the story. I didn't want to half tell the story. And I didn't want to upset anyone. And I had someone that was kind of helping me and coaching me through this, and they said, this is your story to tell. So you tell your story however you want to tell your story. You can go in as much detail or as little detail, but you tell it. And so I did. And there's a portion where I got into a physical altercation with my father prior to transitioning as a high school AFAB person. And that didn't go well for a lot of people who read the book. I didn't give my dad a copy because I was still scared, even though I knew what I wrote, But I didn't give him a copy. And then one day, I guess it finally got back to him and he got a copy. And we had to have a really, really tough conversation. And he played victim for a while, like, oh, I'm the monster. I said, I did not say that. I did not write that. I wouldn't put that in writing. But if that's how you see yourself, then that's something you need to deal with. So that was something that was really tough, that specific incident, but even other parts where I'm telling stories and I'm talking about people in my life. And like, man, I don't want anybody to sue me. I ain't got nothing, you can't sue me, but I don't want to go through that kind of process. But it's my story, right? So that I would say was the hardest part of writing, or the hardest challenge was like navigating my truth without creating additional harm, like just telling the story without causing harm.
A tough part in my book process was trying to figure out how to end it, or the ending of something, because when you're writing, the story could get deeper and deeper and deeper, go left to the turn, and then just how you just finish it with the end. So I would say like closing it out, of how to close out of a book or this book, and that was probably the complicated part that I had to really sit for a couple months on how to summarize that whole story in an ending. Especially if I didn't want to continue the book to a part 2.
My difficult part of writing this book is just because of the environment we are right now. We're just trying to navigate the way whereby I wouldn't sound like being kind of like divisiveness among us. So that was just a little bit challenging to write it in a way that it has to be inclusiveness, togetherness, and prosperities.
Would you all like a chair that doesn't have a chair? Stacy, Queen. Okay, can we bring at least 4 or 5 chairs? We have 4. Okay, good.
All right, so Seven, you kind of touched on this earlier. So you said your original idea, over time, you had to go back and reflect. So how did your book evolve? And were you surprised in the ways in which it's changed?
As far as for this, I think the more, since the subject is about transitioning, the more I grew as a spirit first, as my own identity, the more free I began writing later on down the line, even though writing always been subconscious from even when I did the first version. But as I changed, the way I express changed, my process, even the way I looked at my own transition has changed. It is not the same from when I did it with hormone therapy at 17. Even though, and I want to give acknowledgement to also a chosen mother of mine who just came in the building named Kim Watson. Yeah, Kim Watson. Kim Watson saw me go into that clinic at Interville Avenue with baggy clothes, just like wild at heart. And she was actually the first person to open the door for me to physically transition with hormone therapy at Interville Avenue. So just to see certain people who are at my timeline in different stages in my life, I appreciate you. You said yes when coming from a Caribbean family, and it was so much. You know, not only just being a person to be vocal about a sexual orientation that made me be free, but being the first trans person on both sides of my family. That is, so that also gave me the biggest strength to be who I am today. Because you got your inner family, then you got the world, and then our own community. And our own community is not always innocent, you know, so I appreciate you. So as far as expressing in this book, as years went by, the more advanced or free my ability to write and be more vulnerable in that approach.
Okay. So now each one of y'all books explore unique themes. What is one message that you hope sticks with your reader along the way after they finish it? Who would like to start?
So I touched on this a little bit earlier, right? The idea of everybody goes through something, right? We all have lives and we all run into barriers and issues and different things that affect our lives, different things we weren't expecting, whether that's the loss of a loved one, whether that's the loss of a friend in terms of their friendship or them being on this earthly realm, jobs. There's so many things that we experience as human beings. We don't stop and feel that and connect with that. We just go, go, go. So the connecting piece that I really want folks to take is it's okay to go through like all the things that you're going through, to reach out and to find friendship and fellowship and people that you can connect with to help you through different things. And I wrote this actually in 2020. So I wrote this while everyone was home, and the shit hit the fan in a very public way with black folks in America and police officers. As a former police officer, I'm just like, I can't imagine being a black cop right now. Like, Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. But what if you are a black cop? Where does that put you? That puts you in the middle of so much and just that turmoil. And so being able to close out my book after John Lewis died was, to me, almost a message even to myself and the activist work and the advocacy work that I have done and that I continue to do now as I continue to dig into politics, which is a wild thing. But knowing that you're not alone in what you've gone through, whether it's a book you randomly picked up or a book you intentionally pick up because you might know the author, that is a way to have community. That is a way to connect and understand, like, this is someone's story and I can connect with some of that. So maybe I'll be okay too. And I've had people come to me afterwards. I've had a mother come to me after getting this and reading this, and she was in tears, and she said, I haven't spoken to my daughter in 10 years. And she's like, I'm calling her right now. And I said, if I wasn't speaking to anybody else in that space, I was speaking to that woman. And knowing that's what I want people to take. You know, that's what I want. Like that, you've got to reconnect. You have to be okay. Part of when I got through that hard part about writing about my dad and figuring all that part out, I did like a pre-read for a couple of people, you know, to sample so far, see how it was going. And one of my friends who knows me said, you didn't close this out. You and your dad are good now, but you need to put that there so people are aware. I was like, okay, right? So like that was something that still again connects to people like, yeah, this whole thing happened. I had no idea. I felt all these things, but we worked through that, right? So again, letting people know and understand there might be a time where you don't talk to somebody for a while. You got to process it the way you need to process it. And then, if you so choose and both parties are able and willing to do so, try to mend it. Things are mendable, so that's what I want people to say.
Yeah. So what is one message you hope will stick with the reader after?
Living in a state where everybody is saying don't go to Florida because we don't have this or that, I hope that anybody who reads this book they get to find joy and liberation as a Black trans person. Because, they telling people not to come to our state, we don't have this, we don't have that, but this book is giving you the joy and liberation to continue with your transition, to continue to be authentic, to continue to be unapologetic who you are, and to continue breathing while Black and trans. Oh, my bad.
No. The main thing that I hope people always take away from all of my art, not just this book, is to remember who you are, find who you are, remember who you are, that you are beautiful in all of yourself. Whether you make any changes or not, you are beautiful. And you belong here. Nobody can tell you that you don't belong here, and you are powerful.
All right.
So basically, the message I would like everyone to get out of my book is just a message of love, unity, togetherness. That's about it.
The message that I would like for everybody to get from my book is just, I hope the story makes you not think that I wrote it. I just hope it's so good that it makes you want to read more. I hope you are enjoying a fictional novels. So it's a fictional novel, and I just would love for you to explore my mind and see everybody. This is my mother that just came. Yeah. Thank you, Mom, for coming. And I hope that, while I'm here on Earth, you was able to get the one book that I wanted to wrap up the Eden's Garden project with, and it makes impact on you mentally, emotionally, and if you're not someone who transition, I hope it creates empathy.
Thank you so much for that. So, how do you balance storytelling with social commentary or activism, if at all? And so this should be a question that I would love to hear each one of you answer.
That's a good question. So
Yes.
I want you to repeat that again.
Yes.
And how about one first this time?
Okay. How do you balance storytelling with social commentary or activism, if at all? Okay. You'll go first? Thank you.
It took me a long time to get on Instagram, Facebook, and just social media, and everybody's like, no, you gotta get on Facebook, you gotta get on. I really don't want to deal with the world like that. I'm a very shy person, and as I said when I first started talking earlier, that to a lot of people I am mysterious. They are curious about me, which I love. But it took me a while to get on social media. I also struggle with social anxiety, so even being here, most of the people who were here earlier, you saw me with glasses on up until we started. You don't need to see what my eyes are doing. You don't need to see how nervous and shy that I am. But yeah, so just having my art out into the world, though it can be life-changing, it can help people, it can have a positive effect. The commentary from so many people can be very overwhelming. But also the plus side to that is that it can push me to continue doing what I do because you get positive feedback. People tell you how it has positively impacted them. So dealing with that is I take my moments where I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to deactivate my social media and you catch me when you catch me. And then I'm back on social media sharing my art. So I like to take breaks. I encourage people to take social media breaks, whether it's a day, a few hours, a few months, a year. Take time for yourself to decompress, to check in with yourself, and not let social media or public commentary for the question, not let it take hold of you. And do things that bring you joy.
I
How do you balance storytelling with social commentary or activism, if at all?
So since the start of the McKinsey project, everything that we did was based on the whole creative art spectrum of using art as a way to heal, as in using art as a way to tell our stories, as a way to use art to, educate people around a lot of the misleading information that they continue to put out on social media. So for me, those two things is what has kept the organization going. And as the only organization in the state of Florida that's currently doing that type of work, it also sets us apart from other organizations. And the fact that we deal with a lot of trans youth, it also gives us a platform and a space to let our trans youth be the voice. Because a lot of times when we are doing this type of work, we have a lot of older people, and I'm not gonna say older, I'm gonna say middle-aged people who you see on, in spaces like you got Laverne Cox, the Hope Giselle. You see all these people who have these big names that are telling their stories and sharing their stories, but where's the younger crowd? Where's the younger version of those who, again, bring them up like trans, that get a chance to share their story? So for me, those two things has always been an intersection factor for us, and I think it has also, helped us as a Black trans organization become more visible in a whole totally different light when it comes down to this type of work.
Thank you.
I'll start with the storytelling the public commentary. So when I got fired from the police department, yes, I sued, but you gotta have money to really sue, but so, and when you file a lawsuit, that's a public thing. So it was seen, my attorney calls me when he says, there's a website, it's a hate site that people built about you, don't look at it. I was like, great, why'd you tell me? Because I'm really getting ready to go look for it now. And I looked for it. And there were people who, I didn't know these people at all. And there were people who, there were so many just, all the nastiest things that you could imagine people were saying, simply because I was on the SWAT team. I asked my department for a new bulletproof vest, which my vest had expired anyway, so I needed a new vest anyway, and now I needed it to fit properly. And it was like, oh, you don't need a vest, you just need to get shot. And it just went on and on. So all this stuff was happening, and at that time, it was very early in my transition. I wasn't ready for that overload. However, once I got past that, and I got to the space of being me and comfortable with me and not caring about what anybody else says, I am here for the public commentary, and I got time.
Okay.
And when I have time, I answer back, and I don't care. And I think part of it is, as I'm getting older, I told someone when I turned 35, it was like, I don't care. I just had this, I don't give a fuck attitude about anything. But I told people that. And then I got to 40, and it's worse, and I don't have to tell you, right? Like, you say something, I'm just like, oh, okay. Right? Like, so it just, that level continues every year to increase, that I don't care. And if you don't set yourself up to get your feelings hurt, then you won't get your feelings hurt, because I can do that if necessary. But I feel like that is a part of activism. That's a part of resilience. There's this idea that we must stay in this box. It's like, oh, take the higher road and take all this and take all, you know what? Why? For what? Where has it gotten us? Where has the higher road gotten us? And I'm not saying don't ever take it, because sometimes you have to do what you have to do, and individuals have to do what works for them, right? That's not gonna work for everybody. But when I was in a space of having my own, business, it didn't matter. Now I work for someone else, it's still a fine line, because I'm still me, but I'm like, sometimes I rein it in a little bit so I can make sure I eat, right? So everybody has to do their what's comfortable and what works for them, but my activism and social commentary and the hate and negativity, I just give it back. I just serve it back. And my dish is always better.
Yes. How do you balance storytelling and social commentary or activism, if at all?
Well, when it comes to my art, it's a big responsibility when you're talking about identity because it could go so many different ranges. So I'm always transparent that I can't represent every transition story, but I'm doing it in a creative way so you can feel it. You know, because it's a big responsibility, you know, especially when I did the first like web series project. I had guys say, well, you know, my story's like this, or that doesn't always happen, or what about this? Talk about guys in the military. What about this? This. So it almost became like they was just more excited to have me relay these stories in the project. But as I go on older, I'm not trying to be perfect and represent everybody's stories. And I'm just always representing myself when I speak, and I could do as much as I can to generalize the stories of everybody, but everybody has their own mouth and their own experience, and my lane comes with my own experience that nobody has experienced. So with that is much responsibility, but also being able to articulate it as best as I can to get it right, so people who are not in my path or walker's shoes can have understanding and comprehension and empathy. So also with that, I keep note of that and conscious of that. So, and also being able to be brave and just speak my truth without thinking, was this hurt someone's feelings? Am I saying too much or divulging too much? The more I started to evolve and lose fear in my own self as a person, it has transformed that energy to create all of this. And it's not always easy. It goes through a lot of self-healing and forgiving yourself. You know, I think sometimes we could be our own deep critics. And in the age of social media, everything looks perfected on Instagram and filters. But just knowing how to be true to myself and keeping things that make me happy, whether it's some good old Motown music or looking at the sunset and the sunrise, my two favorite parts of the day, or looking at documentaries, or talking to my elders. I love conversations with my elders, is my favorite, because I was born with an old soul. Or, you know, doing things to represent my family and my bloodline in the best representation I can, because I'm a very family-oriented person. But social work and being able to live out loud and proud and doing what I love and creating. And I'm looking forward to creating more in the future. And I'm just gonna let myself be free. And anything I do, I have to be passionate about. It can't just be about money. But when you're good at what you're doing, it'll attract money.
Basically, you know, we all live in a world of where everybody has their own different opinions. So I try my best to do what I think is right for everyone, and that's about it. Plain and simple.
So y'all know, as a creative or just anybody who wants to start something, life, and we get to a process where what we start, we can't finish at the speed that we want to. In your process of your creating your book, what helped you push back when you had your writer's block or you got to a moment where something had stalled? Okay.
Now, what I might say might ruffle some feathers, but I don't care, and I'll be honest with it. When I was in my creating stage, every time I got to a moment of, I don't know what to do next, Donald Trump and his bullshit is what kept me going. Because every time I saw him do something, I said, let me find somebody who I can put in this magazine that represents my community to make sure that they can get what they get. So for me, he done did a lot of stuff, but because of him, it has helped me shift the narrative and say, I'm not gonna go out there and protest. I'm not gonna go out there and burn no buildings down. I'm gonna sit in my room. I'm gonna go to work with my staff, and we're gonna strategize, and we're gonna create an underground railroad of our movement to do what we need to do to make sure that our community gets what we need. Because what people don't understand, and now as social media is so big, it's like everybody wanna put everything on social media. All the stuff that we put on social media, that's how these people are knowing what to do and how to handle us. But if we learn how to keep our mouth closed and work together as a collective and making sure that Black trans people are at the forefront of everything that we do, and these people who are non-Black, who are our allies, are the ones making sure that they're creating the space to knock the doors in for us to walk in. So that's my piece. Okay, I told you already. Okay, you go to seven.
So for me, usually when I have writer's block, I'm going through something personal in my personal life. I'm either overwhelmed a lot with work or I'm just disconnected with some part of myself, maybe mostly emotionally and spiritually. Even though I have a good grounding, life is life, and some days it's better than others. And I do know how to always recenter myself. So I like to take time to recenter myself to make sure that when I am writing, it's not like a task, it's not like a duty. And also with my headstrongness to finishing what I start, I think that's what helps me also get over the creative roadblocks. And sometimes when you create, you have to also be inspired by what you're actually feeling and making sure I feel to be able to articulate and being able to articulate my emotions, mental, spiritual, and stuff like that. So when you see how I write, and my mom could probably attest. I remember when I was a kid, she looked at one of my writings and she was like, "Wow, you write very different." And I wanted my mom to feel good about her writing, and I said, "No, Ma, you write good too. You good." And then she was like, "No, but the way you write is different." So when I go through a roadblock, something is imbalanced, and I just take a couple of days to rebalance myself. But that comes with the journey. But it always comes back. But once that writer's block is back off, it's just like a flow for me.
For me, it's like whenever when I'm writing, when I have that kind of blockage, I'll just take my time off. Take time off and come back maybe a day or two after that. Then I will pick up where I stop.
So I mentioned that I had a coach help me, get my book in order. And when I got to a place where I felt like I had writer's block, she literally was like, "It's your story. There's no block. What's your story? Just tell your story. The block is something else." And so it really goes into like what Seven was saying. Something else was block. It's not writer's block. I just had a block, an emotional block. And it was as I got to places where I was telling certain stories, and it was like, oh no. So that was where it was. So understanding that it's not writer's block, whether it's a story about my lived experience or a story I'm creating, the ideas and thoughts are already there. Just get it out and figure out what it is that is in the way. And I don't know what else you're gonna ask, but you mentioned this, and I wanted to mention it about my book. My cover and then my headshot, both created by Black trans men. Right? It wasn't something I was loud about. You talk about not just putting everything out there. I know folks who do that work and that work. And then I said, hey, I want to write a book. You want to take the picture? I want to write a book. You want to do the front? And I reached back to community because that's what I believe in. I said unity.
Okay, so we know that sometimes, regardless of how you write your story or whatever, what would you choose a conversation between a character in your book and a real life figure? Who would you choose out of it and why? So in y'all case, in that moment, who would you choose to have a conversation with, let's say Donald Trump, and like you would have your figures? Okay.
Who would like to go first?
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but Kayla, I would definitely love to see Kayla have a conversation with Donald Trump. Kayla's very shy, she's very quiet, but I know, Kayla has a lot of views as a young trans girl. And I think a lot of times, as a person, when we have these youth who are so young, a lot of times they don't get that privilege to speak up or to be heard. Nobody don't want to hear what they got to say. But I do know, like, from listening to a lot of stuff that she have had conversations with me, with Nikki, with Camille, like she's a very wise, she don't know, but she's a very wise young lady. And I think that would be a conversation where it can be held, even though he's a little bit aggressive. But I know my girl know how to get aggressive when it's time to get aggressive and tear his behind up. And I think it'll be a really good conversation for him to hear a black trans youth letting him know what's going on and how it should be done. Sorry, Graham, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. So pretty much in your book, yours is a little different. A moment where you would have one of your models, maybe talk to a real life figure about their experience. So who would you choose out in the book to have a conversation with, a real life figure?
There's so many beautiful people in this book.
I love that.
Honestly, and I really don't care how anyone's gonna take this, because I know why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
I would choose myself. And I would talk to any person who is more specifically transphobic. Let's go there. I want every transphobic person, if we gotta fill up a football stadium, I want everybody in that stadium. And I'll put the tennis shoes on. I want them all in the stadium. And I want to really ask them, why are you transphobic? Because you don't know every trans person in this world. You don't. You have not traveled this world and met every trans or non-binary person. You haven't. So how can you have these biases of us? How can you hate us? How can you fear us when you don't know us? You don't even say hello. You don't ask our names. You don't ask our pronouns. You don't want to listen to anything that we have to say. So as nervous and as shy as I would be, I'm also a Leo. So I'm like, okay. What you say? So it would be me with this microphone in the center of the stadium, and I want all of them to answer that question. And I want them to answer it without religion, without, okay, my mom was like this, my dad was, tell me why you hate me and all the other people in this world that identify like me. And I really want you to sit with your answer before you say it. Tell me why. Really feel that. Because when you take religion out, when you take, well, I was taught, I come from a Caribbean household. My father's from Jamaica. And I still grew up with love. So tell me why, when you take away all these things that people taught you, or that you pick up somewhere along the way of your life, when you take all of that out, tell me truthfully why you hate me. You don't even know me.
And I want to say thank you to everybody as the sun is setting. Welcome to Visible Voices Festival, Day 1. Thank you for everybody that came from different states. Right now, if everybody can shout out a state they came from, I know the King Damien came from Vegas. Yeah. We have Florida in the building. Oh, okay, not Florida. We have Miami. I guess Miami is not Florida. Where's everybody from New York City in the building? Raise your hand. Okay, we have New Yorkers. Thank you for the New Yorker natives coming through. And my father came from Fort Worth, Texas. Yeah, and any other states came from? Oh, we got Little Rock, Arkansas in the building. For Visible Voices. Detroit, and Gigi, aka Queen, you came from Seattle, Washington. You see, oh, we have Chicago here too. Okay. Oh, and we also have Atlanta, Georgia, ATL. So I just wanted to see how a movement affects community. You see how we all came together. So no matter what we're going through in life, no matter what systems and stuff, when you create a movement and everybody plays their part and nobody bumps each other in ego, I might be the one that could do the photography and videography and admin. Someone else might be good at speaking. Someone else might be good as the muscle and security. And you come together, and that's where you create a movement. aka community, and we have allies here. It's not just trans people, we have people from all different backgrounds and races, and just thank you for making this count, and for this being one of my final events. It came in 2025. So let this embrace you as self-love. Let this embrace you with the confidence to continue to be who you are and what you want to be in your identity. I'm so happy to share this experience. Tomorrow we have the Big Brotherhood Collective Party, aka the Visible Festival, going down from 4 to 10 p.m. And we was able to accomplish our own float in New York City Pride. We're going to be in the streets of Manhattan, being visible. We got blowhorns, we got great music, DJs, we got people, we have a fraternity in the building.
I don't mind representing my fraternity. I don't mind representing my fraternity. Alpha Omega Kappa Fraternity Incorporated.
And thank you to your fraternity just for showing up in numbers and supporting us and everything, and to our families. So with that being said, we're going to break, and this is going to wrap at 8:30. At 8:39, and for everybody, we're going to celebrate day one or just gather at Monsters Bar in the Village. And for anybody that don't know much about Village history, June 28th marks the Stonewall riots anniversary, and Stonewall Bar is actually located in the Village. So if this is a first timer for you at New York City, it'll be cool just to embrace where our ancestors fought for our rights, because it used to be illegal to be in the bars and women dressed in male clothes and vice versa. So they actually fought back the police for our rights. And it was, I don't know how many couple days. It was for a couple days. Anybody? Oh, if you mind, Father, if you could say anything?
It's 52 years of Stonewall, because the 50th anniversary of Stonewall, I received from the mayor and governor of New York at the Schomburg Theater the award for 50 years.
And I want to say thank you to the Bureau for creating this space for community. Greg, right here, take a look at the books. You made a monumental impact for us to celebrate our festival and Pride Weekend. Thank you for being a part of this. And from there, we all have books right here. We have Black Book of Life. You could come see Dino James. I have Eden's Secret. We have Audacity. We have BWBT. And we also have Exposed Truth photo book. And thank you to all our sponsors. One of our main star sponsors is Jasmine McKenzie for the Visible Voices Festival. Yes, thank you. And to all our sponsors, we're going to give personal recognition at the Visible Voices Festival tomorrow. Personal shout outs. So thank you, have fun. Be back here at Be back here at basically 8:15, and we're gonna be wrapping this at 8:45 and just commune till it's time to leave. Thank you. If you want a book, feel free to come see us.